In this video, we're gonna be going over a simple trick to drastically improve your aim, accuracy, as well as gun skill here in Battlefield 6. We're gonna be abusing the aim assist, and if you're tired of having things like this happen to you in game, definitely keep this in mind. If that sounds good, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications, and let's get into it. So let's quickly go over some controller settings. Now, I play with an Xbox Elite controller on PC with one paddle on the back, the short paddle set up for jumping. These settings are gonna work no matter what controller you're playing with, and also no matter what console or PC you are playing on. I play on the alternate button preset, which is gonna be similar to tactical in Call of Duty. It's gonna remap your crouch and prone button. So to perform a crouch, go down to prone, I have to just press down on the right thumbstick. This is going to be very helpful, allowing you to do a drop shot without actually having to move your thumb, so you can be more accurate and win close range gunfights and get in and out of cover a lot easier. I do recommend at least trying out alternate, but that's not the setting that is going to be make or break. Once you go ahead and click on essentially the tab to really fine tune your settings, you want to go over to your control settings here. Now, for your infantry aim assist, I always recommend players to play within that 40 to 50 window. This is going to be perfect, giving you enough movement to turn on players, but not too much that you're going to be inaccurate at longer ranges. I know for a fact a lot of players are missing shots at medium longer ranges due to the shot deviation, bloom, and overall weirdness with the aim assist here in Battlefield 6. This is going to help prevent a lot of the inconsistent gunfights that you lose from happening nearly as much. Now, for field of view, I've messed around with 110 to 120. I recommend playing within that 110 to 120 range. If 110 is a little bit too much for you, 100 is also going to work, but I personally like to play with 120 so I have a bigger picture, and it's going to be a lot easier for myself to control a lot of the visual recoil and overall be a little bit more accurate at those longer ranges. I recommend going ahead and giving this a go, especially if you're losing a lot of long range gunfights. It is going to make a difference. It did for me, and I can guarantee you it's probably gonna do the same for you as well. Now, everything else here, the vertical aim ratio is gonna be at 50. The zoom ratio is gonna be at 75. You want to make sure you shut this off. Do not have this on. If you have uniform infantry aiming turned on, you're going to struggle with winning those medium to longer range gunfights. Turn this off, you're gonna see a massive improvement to your gameplay. Now, infantry aim assist is gonna be at 100. Infantry aim assist slowdown is also going to be at 100. This is so you essentially have glue on the sticks, so it's gonna be very easy to track players at those medium to longer ranges, and you can make sure your shots are hitting as much as possible to give you the faster time to kills. Now, the infantry aim input curve, I recommend playing on Battlefield 3, as well as the zoom input curve, and for stick input acceleration, I play on Battlefield 1. I used to go ahead and play on Bad Company 2 for all of these, but I switched to Battlefield 3, and I also went ahead and bumped down my sensitivity significantly from 60 to 40, and it has been like glue on the sticks at those longer ranges. Again, if you're struggling with those medium to long range gunfights, I highly recommend going ahead and making this change. It's going to be drastic both in multiplayer and especially RedSec, where a lot of the gunfights are going to be medium as well as longer ranges. Now, aiming left right acceleration, I have this set to 30. Everything else here is going to be the same. I've not made any other adjustments, but what you do actually want to go ahead and do is make sure that your infantry zoom sensitivity is going to be at 80 here, and you want to actually turn off that smoothing so you can fully customize what actually needs to be adjusted. For 1.0 all the way to 4.5, I recommend going ahead and having it bump down from 100 to 80. This is just so it's going to be a little bit easier to track enemies at those longer ranges. You're going to see a drastic improvement with your medium to long range gunfights going ahead and doing so. And with some of the higher zoom optics, you want to bump that up from 100 to 110 so it's a little bit faster and you're not going to feel like you're stuck in the mud. Very important to go ahead and do that here in Battlefield 6 because a lot of the settings need to be tweaked I think honestly too many settings need to be tweaked, but you must go ahead and do this if you're drastically trying to win more long range gunfights. Again, everything else here is going to be the same. I've not made any other adjustments. Gyro is obviously turned off because I do not have a gyro controller. Now, what you also want to do under the controller settings is go all the way down. I wish everything was in the same tab so it'd be easier to find for players who are struggling. For the controller tuning, I recommend turning off vibration so there is no rumble with your controller, potentially throwing off your aim and accuracy at longer ranges. This is saying that you're either going to turn off and never turn it back on, or turn it off and maybe you like the vibration. But if you're struggling at long range gunfights, I recommend actually just going ahead and completely turning this off. For the dead zones, these are going to be dependent on your controller health. Feel free to go ahead and copy down my dead zone settings if you want. The best way to actually go ahead and fine tune your dead zone and to see if you actually have stick drift is to quite literally go into the firing range, put your controller down on the table or next to you, don't touch it, and if your character starts to veer to the left, the right, up, down, you need to go ahead and adjust your dead zone to prevent that from happening. That's going to be the best way to do it. It is going to be dependent on your controller health because not all controllers are going to have the same dead zone, if any. Now, once you jump in the firing range, you're going to see here that the controller sensitivity is going to be quite fast here in Battlefield 6. It's not going to be incredibly fast, but this is perfect, so you can actually go ahead and turn on other players if need be, and obviously snap onto targets. Now, let's go over a trick that you can use to significantly improve your recoil control here in multiplayer as well as RedSec. Now, I'm using the M4A1. I don't have any recoil controlling attachments on this assault rifle, just have an optic and an extended mag. You can use this for whatever weapon you want to use. So once you go ahead and actually jump in the firing range with these settings, you're going to see that the sensitivity from target to target is going to be very fast. You can see when I get close to these targets, it starts to slow down. You see how much faster it is once I get away from the target, how quickly it starts to move, and then once I get to the target, it slows down. That's exactly what you want to see happen. That means you set up the settings properly. So make sure you guys copy mine down exactly. It's going to be like this for literally any and all range here in Battlefield 6, and you absolutely need this to happen. When you go full auto, which is what you do not want to do, that's what you saw in the clip, there is going to be a lot of shot deviation as well as bloom. Now, sometimes it's not going to be as bad. Sometimes you're going to be able to get the fast time to kills. You guys can see at extreme long ranges, going full auto is not going to be what you want to do. You can see it's going to be sometimes inconsistent. You can see at longer ranges, the deviation really going to work. M4A1 is a weapon that does have relatively decent bloom, but you can see at range where things get very, very inconsistent and you're going to be missing a lot of shots. Now, remember, I'm not running any recoil controlling attachments here. Now, if I just go ahead and just fire and I do not pull down on my right thumbstick, which is going to be allowing you to control a lot of the recoil, the gun is going to be going all over the place. This is what a lot of people are doing, and that is going to be a mistake. You want to quite literally pull down while you're shooting ever so slightly, not crazy, but ever so slightly, pull down on your right thumbstick while you're firing every single weapon here in Battlefield 6. I don't care if it is a no recoil build. You want to pull down slightly. This is something that you need to practice in the firing range. It's a tip that I learned in Call of Duty years ago. It's something that a lot of new players are not really thinking about. Pulling down on your right thumbstick slightly while firing is going to offset a lot of that vertical as well as horizontal recoil, so you can be a lot more accurate. This is why a lot of people say that, you know, controller players are cheating and whatnot. It's because that we're pulling down on the right thumbstick while having the aim assist set up properly, and it's going to allow us to be a lot more accurate. Now, if I don't pull down the right thumbstick, I'm going to show again. It's just going to go all over the place, straight up, and it's going to start veering to the left, the right. It's going to be bad. But once you're pulling down on that thumbstick, again, you want to make sure that you are pulling down ever so slightly on your thumbstick, like that. You want to be pulling down ever so slightly, it is going to offset a lot of that recoil. Now, what you also want to do is make sure that you are burst firing, because once you go ahead and do this while you're burst firing, you're going to see here that a lot of the bullets are going to register. Even sometimes it's going to be a little bit inconsistent, but it's going to be a lot more consistent. While you're pulling down and burst firing, you're going to find yourself getting a lot more shots on target and also winning a lot more long-range gunfights. Now, with the bloom and shot deviation here in Battlefield 6, this is super important. Remember, I'm using a weapon that has 0 recoil controlling attachments whatsoever. When you put recoil controlling attachments on weapons, it's going to be a lot easier. You can see how much more accurate the weapon is when you're burst firing it and pulling down on the right thumbstick at the same time. This is going to drastically transform your medium to long range gunfights here in Battlefield 6. Hopefully these settings help you out both in Battlefield 6 multiplayer as well as RedSec. And if you do try them out, jump into a game and see a significant improvement to your gameplay, come back to this video and let me know down in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed, feel free, drop a like on the vid, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.